And so with us this week, coming down from down under, and not too far down under. I know we've had some people from Australia here,
Mm.
but just in the United States down under, and coming from Austin, Texas, we have Lisa Dreyer. She is director at the Fantastic Fest, one of the biggest genre festivals here in the United States, and also is does acquisitions work with Draft House Films. How you doing?
I'm good. I wish I was in Australia, actually. But yeah,
Really? Is that like a place you really want to go to?
I would love to visit Australia. Alex Heller Nicholas, would love to go visit her. There's lots of cool stuff going on there, I feel like.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And I'm always scared to go there. I mean, I don't know how people. I mean, like I know it's just an outsider's perspective, but everything, all the animals they got going on there, and insects and stuff, kind of keeps me from committing.
What's
We have
interesting,
those in Texas too.
yeah,
Well, yeah, yeah.
I'm not so much afraid of the wildlife. I'm more nervous about the plane ride over. Having to be in a plane for that long,
Oh,
in
okay.
one place for that long, seems like it would just be like you get cabin fever or something. I mean, I guess you could sleep the whole time, but it's still a long time
Nah,
to
I
be
can't sleep
sleeping.
in a chair sitting up. I can't do
Yeah,
that.
I don't think I could do that either. I can barely do that at home on a couch, let alone in a
Yeah,
confined airplane seat. Unless I had like super first class seats where
maybe,
it's all like
maybe.
nice and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for coming on with us. It's great to have you. It's something that's unique and interesting, I guess, here for us because we're usually talking with people who are behind the scenes when it comes to physical media and movies on disc and all that kind of stuff. But this is a little bit of a precursor to that stage of movie world where you're part of the theatrical exhibition and stuff like that, specifically the festival stage, which is the very early part of most theatrical exhibitions, where it's kind of the first step towards disc
But yeah,
and whatnot.
sometimes it's the first step for any film to get distribution.
Yeah.
At all. Which is always a really cool thing. And we've had people that are kind of around the industry, that have done programming and things like that. I know you've done some programming for Alamo and some other film festivals. But yeah, we're gonna get into all of that. But just in general, I always like to start off saying, "How you doing? How's everything going in general?"
Things are going great. It's end of March, so we just had South by Southwest here in Austin. It's such a fun film festival. We're a big film festival in Austin, but we never compete. We're really, collaborate with a lot of the film festivals. So they had a lot of fun midnighters. I always get jealous when, they pick up a really good midnighter and I'm like, I would have loved to play that. I saw a film called Late Night with the Devil that was
Mm.
really, really fun. That would have fit in perfectly with our theme this year, which is occult, kind of satanic throwback stuff. So yeah, I'm good. We're full steam ahead on planning for the festival. Even though it's in September, things start moving really, really fast.
Yeah, we got to get into the kind of the steps of what you do. I'm sure just like anything like this big, when that one's done, you're already kind of starting to think about the next one because you got to
Yes.
get guests lined up, you got to get films lined up. But before we get into the festival, your work history, I do want to go into your personal history a little bit and kind of talk about you as a film fan. Where did the love of film start for you?
Yeah, I've always been a huge film fan. My grandma was really into scary movies. And I spent a lot of time with her. Me and my little brother would spend weekends with her, and she would put on like the X-Files and, really old black and white movies like The Blob. And it scared the shit out of me. Like I was just terrified. I would hear like the X-Files theme song, and still to this day, I'm like, oh, kind of creeped out. Um, but obviously, I also enjoyed it because that's what I do now. As a teenager, I was just got really into foreign films. I was like very snobby. Um, now I can say I was kind of a pretentious
We all go
little
through a snobby phase. We all go
yes.
through
Oh yeah,
It's
teenagers have such egos.
insufferable. Yes. Um, I grew up in Davis, California, which is right near Sacramento, right near San Francisco. So we are really lucky where we had so many theaters within driving distance. So I'd go to Sacramento or to San Francisco to see, art house films. And Sacramento had this really cool summer series. They have this big historic theater called the Crest. And they would have this, like, basically every, I think, this Friday or Saturday night, they would do double features of midnight movies, horror movies, but it was kind of eventized. So it was like my first taste of something like Fantastic Fest, where they would have a DJ when you came in, and then they'd have like a pre show and like fun kind of like stage antics and special guests. So, I saw like Evil Dead, and Bruce Campbell was there. And that,
Oh,
as a
nice.
teenager is like, whoa, that's so cool. Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. And Tura was there, just like telling these crazy stories. And that really just like cemented my love of not only movies, but just like the atmosphere around them, and how, you know, it's just an event and it's a fun place to gather with people. And, that helped me loosen up a little bit from my snobby, only watching foreign movies very, seriously.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I think that atmosphere you grew up in is, well, first of all, it's lucky. You're
Yes.
lucky. You're very lucky that you grew up in that situation. But also, it's like I think when you're able to witness the people behind making these films, talk about the films, and get that full circleness, it makes you appreciate it more. And it also add, like you said, it made you super excited about everything that you saw, which of course then makes every experience you had watching these movies more special, and they stay with you. And I think that's something we're losing nowadays a little bit. And we've talked about this many times, and that's why I think it's important we have a guest like you on, because we love these films, these physical media things we collect. It starts with the film, and the reason we want these films on physical media is because we already love the movies, hopefully, for the most part. Sometimes we do some blind buying, but we love the
Really?
movies. We do
Sometimes.
some a little
A
bit,
lot.
just okay all the time. um
I try not to. I don't like to walk into minefields, but sometimes you just kind of go. You just kind of do it. I,
yeah,
eh,
well,
Does
that, that
it?
yeah,
that even happens when you go to the movies. Really, I mean,
well,
I we grew up.
essentially, yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, I always bring this up. Growing up in the '90s, being a late '80s baby, and then growing up in the '90s, there wasn't a lot, especially when you're a kid, like elementary school age. There wasn't a lot of information that you had access to when it came
Hmm.
to like the quality of the movie in the theaters, or even what the movies were in the theaters. I just remember going to the movie section of my newspaper and looking up the times and what theaters they were at,
Hmm.
and then going there.
and then
Then
Yeah.
and then I mean, if you're old enough to, if you were in a, I mean, essentially you're seeing who's the actor in it, or who's maybe the
Yep.
filmmaker, and that's your decision on why you might go, or you might read what the story is and be like, that sounds kind of cool, and that's
even
it.
as a kid,
I mean,
I didn't recognize actors. I start over time, you start seeing the same one show up over and over again.
Hmm.
If you see, I don't know, if you saw Batman, you saw Michael
I don't know.
Keaton,
I know who
and then
John
you saw him show up in
I
something
knew who
else.
John Claude Van Damme was growing
Well,
up.
the thing is, being a big Star Wars fan, I know who Harrison Ford was. I knew who Carrie Fisher was. So like when Harrison Ford was in so many movies in the '90s,
Yeah,
that was the '80s and '90s were his decades really, and so he would show up every now and then. I mean, aren't they having what's it, the 25th anniversary of Air Force One this year or last year?
who
Oh
knows?
It's
God.
it, and
I don't
it's
want to
like I
think
Feel
remember
about
when that
old.
movie came out.
it.
I
I don't
remember
want to
when
think
that
about
movie
it.
came out. They had, like, commemorative cups, like,
Yeah.
that you could
Yep.
get when you went to the movie theater.
But back on track. I
Back
do
on
want to,
track.
but I want to say that I think it's important that things like this are helping make the films more of an experience. And I think so. I think, yeah, that whole getting to see the actors and things makes that great. And I wish we could get more of that. I really do. That's why the festival. I'm sure the festival, getting into festivals for you later on, probably maybe stemmed from that early experience. Maybe.
Definitely. I had tried to make some of my own stuff when I was in high school, but not seriously, just messing around. And then when I went to college, I did start in film school, but I switched. I went over to radio, and studied radio journalism because I just didn't really see a way to make money in film. It's like, what am I going to, and I grew up poor. I didn't have, I wasn't a trust fund kid. So it's like, maybe I'll do something like journalism, it's still media. And I did enjoy that, but I never really worked in film. I worked in a lot of different jobs. I was a high school teacher for a while, and
Wow.
I was a stay-at-home mom actually for 5 years. Um, and then when I wanted to go back to work, I was thinking like, hey, like what do I want to do? Like I have a chance to really try and like reset my career path. And here in town, there's a nonprofit called the Austin Film Society. Richard Linklater started it. It's really cool. They run the public access station. They have a theater. They do a lot of grants and support filmmakers. And so they had an internship, and I'd met someone who had done the internship, but like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's like, you should apply for the internship. I was like, I'm old. I have two kids. Like, this is stupid. But also, it's kind of like, what do I have to lose?
You never know.
Um, so I ended up doing it, and I got to work with Lars Nilsson, who, I don't know, to me, he's just one of the best programmers out there. He just has like such a depth of knowledge. He's one of Alamo Drafthouse's original programmers, just like has, so much. He's just a wonderful person, and he really just taught me a lot and taught me about film programming, because I didn't even know it was a job. I thought you work in film, you make movies, that's it.
Yeah.
Pretty naive. Um, so yeah, from there I just kind of dove right in. It was nice to finally find something that I really clicked with, because let's just say being a teacher is not my passion. But
Yeah.
this certainly is.
So what did you specifically teach?
I used to teach students with autism,
Mm,
so doing special education, which
that's good.
love
That's
the
nice.
kids.
Yeah.
They were great, but take someone with, a lot of patience and energy, and,
I can I
teachers.
can I can see how that could get exhaustive. I mean, especially if it's not really your passion.
Yeah, I
Mm,
mean, I love the kids, but
Of
it
course, of
it takes
course.
special person to be a teacher. So,
mm.
I have
Definitely.
kids, and I love that I can send them to someone else, and someone else teaches them all day. It's great.
Yeah. No, I can't wait to do that with my child one
Oh
day.
yeah,
Way in the
one
future,
day.
one day, she just was born. Um,
Oh,
she was
you
just
have a
but
while.
she was just born 9 months ago. So I'm like, I still got a long time.
Mhm.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. No, she's lovely. She's asleep. I'm watching her right now on a monitor. She's asleep.
Oh,
And she's
Nice.
a perfect baby. She sleeps at night. So,
wow,
um,
lucky you.
Mm.
I know. I know. Wouldn't be
That's
able to,
kind of
wouldn't be able to do this show right
I
now if it
was just
wasn't for
gonna
her.
say that. That's kind of one of the reasons why we record at a specific time during the week,
Yeah.
Yeah,
or in general, really.
I know how that goes.
Yeah.
Um, it takes a lot of patience, I think, to work with children in any capacity, let alone teaching for
Yeah.
6 to 8 hours a day or whatever the time may be, and
And
then
pay is
and whatnot.
not fantastic. We know
Not
that.
enough.
We
Not
know
enough
that the pay is not
for all of
fantastic
it.
either. But
Um, but
but
trans
that's go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna
Sorry.
say transitioning out of, all of those jobs and kind of, you know, making your way to what you do now, um, did you find that to be kind of like a difficult personal journey for you? Or did you kind of just like stumble across it as you went along? Because you said you got to it quite late.
Yes. So this will be my 6th year with Fantastic Fest. Um, Honestly, I do think it's nice that I started this career older and with experience, because I really just knew what I wanted to do. Being a film programmer is obviously a privileged position. There's not a lot of jobs in the industry. It's very competitive. So I do feel really fortunate that, you know, I learned from one of the best programmers out there. Um, and then I really just threw myself into volunteering, like outside of my 9 to 5 at the Austin Film Society. And one of the places I volunteered was Fantastic Fest. I started on their volunteer screening team, which at film festivals, for anyone who's not aware, basically people submit their films, and there's a team of people that review them. And it's a wide array of quality of the types of films that get submitted. So it really takes a lot of patience. But I loved doing it because I think even if a film is, not a masterpiece, it's still someone put a lot of hard work into it. And, as someone who had tried to make movies in the past and was like, never, like, that's way too hard. I really appreciate when anyone can make anything. Like, that's amazing to me. Like, you make a 5-minute movie, you make a 90-minute movie, like, that's a miracle. Like, you made a movie, that's awesome. So yeah, I just, from there, was promoted to being a programmer. Um, Fantastic Fest, like all festivals, had a hard time during COVID. Um, and so during COVID, there was just kind of a shift where we didn't really know what we were going to do that first year when we couldn't have a physical festival. So myself and this woman, Audra Perry, kind of stepped up and formulated our virtual festival that we put on for free that first year of COVID. And that's when I kind of started leaning more into a leadership role with the festival. Maybe from being a teacher, I just kind of
Took control.
naturally slotted in there. But then when I was finally promoted to director last year, I said, yes, I would love to, of course, dream job, but I have to program too because I love programming so much. I feel like I've only just gotten started programming. So I'm still on our features programming team with our director of programming, Anik Monart, who's just the best. Fabulous taste. She lives in Spain. She's been doing this forever. I love her. And then we have 3 other programmers on our team. They're all just super awesome, have like really diverse taste, bring a lot of, different expertise to the table. So it's a really fun process just getting to, watch movies and discuss them with people who are way smarter than me and figuring out what the audience is going to love.
Yeah, the way you describe the, kind of the process of a festival, in a sense, it is kind of like physical media, except you're just showing it for a group of people, on a screen, a big screen, and the people that work at these labels we love are curating, they're watching films, they're figuring out what they want to put on physical media, and then send them out to the world. And
Yep.
I love that comparison there, and but yeah, I mean, that has to be just, I mean, whenever you find a film going through all these submissions, I know you were saying, sometimes they're not masterpieces, but when you find the movies that are like, you're like, wow, this could be a new voice. Is that exciting when you find something that's like a new filmmaker and you're like, wow, this could be somebody that could be very exciting, and you see it and you're like, wow, I got to wait 6 months before we can show this to anybody, like, or however
Yes.
long, yeah. But
Yes.
when does that happen often?
Oh, all the time. I
Yeah.
mean, so we program around 90 features, which is a lot. And
Phew, yeah.
honestly, we could program way more because we just see so many films we love. And yeah, I mean, sometimes we find festivals from different places. So we'll find them, we go to Sundance and Cannes and Berlin, and we'll see a great movie there and bring it to Austin. And that's amazing. It's awesome to find an amazing movie at Cannes, have this amazing experience, and then bring it to Austin. But it is even more exciting when you just come across this small movie that hasn't played a festival, the director's unknown. It is really a hidden gem. And it does kind of feel like, when you used to go to a VHS store and you're just flipping through and you just pick something randomly and you're like, I don't know if it's good, I don't know if it's bad. And then all of a sudden you're watching something and it's, whatever, a masterpiece, and you're like, this is amazing. So it does
Yeah.
have like that same air of excitement because you really don't know what you're going to get with a lot of these films unless it's coming from a big festival previously.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you've had quite a few pretty great kind of premieres over the years at Fantastic Fest. I'm looking at the list here. You've had, just recently you had Smile premiere. there,
Yeah, we
which
had the
was
world premiere.
yeah, which was pretty is
Um,
pretty good. I watched that. I'm starting to catch up on last year's films, and I watched
okay.
Smile about a month ago.
Mm.
Yeah.
Pretty solid. I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Um,
It's
when it comes to like world premieres, and when it comes to, I guess, kind of acquisitions for getting films to Fantastic Fest, specifically bigger films with bigger name directors who want to, do they approach you or do you approach them in terms of, you know, how to get it?
Yeah, so it goes both ways. We're obviously lucky that we're a really established festival, so we have really good relationships with a lot of the studios like Neon and A24, Universal. So a lot of times they will approach us and say, "Hey, we're trying to find a place to premiere this film. Fantastic Fest is obviously a great launching pad for it. We're super lucky that we have the Alamo Drafthouse connected, so, it's like a lot of times, like with Smile, we world premiered that film, and then it went on to do like crazy numbers at the box office at every theater, but especially at Alamo from that extra push. But then also, we have this crazy spreadsheet. You would not want to see it. That's tracking every possible movie and who has it. So, we have targets where, we'll reach out and say, hey, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. We want to check out that movie here. Um, I don't know. It's exciting. Too many good movies. But then it's always like a waiting game to see,
Yeah,
if
who
it's
gets
gonna
what?
line up. Yeah. And if it's gonna
Yeah.
line up with their theatrical, because horror, like the summertime is a huge time for horror theatrically. So, a lot of times it's like Barbarians before us, they throw all this great stuff on the screen right before us, like Pearl. Would
yeah.
have loved to play that. So, we're always like, wait, just wait a little bit.
I didn't even, yeah, that actually didn't even factor into my mind that, you being a festival, does it typically happen every September or is it just a fall thing in general?
Yeah, we're always around the last week of September.
Okay.
There's so many different film festivals, and we try and, you want to give everyone their space. And
Yeah.
so if you move dates, like Tribeca has been moving their dates all around, and, we try and like to be in the same time always.
Yeah, you know what? Now that you say that, that does make a lot of sense because Sundance is always in January.
hmm
South by is always in March. You like you said, you guys are always in September, and it's what's interesting is that I guess what I was trying to say is that you being in September, you know, you may miss out on a lot of stuff that premieres a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Because the year is what 3/4 over by that time, or pretty close to
But
it.
yeah, but there's a lot
But
of
then we
crazy.
kind of hit like the next
Yeah,
wave and
Yeah, I
kick
was
off
gonna
the
you
say.
hit the
like,
fall wave.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
because
it's
some
like
of the
a
other
lot of award stuff.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I was gonna say you premiered There Will Be Blood, which is some years ago.
Yep.
That was a big one. That I was like, man, wow, that's a big one.
Yeah.
And so thinking about that, Andrew brought up big filmmakers and things like that. Um, I I don't know if you've done any kind of like I know some people do like the introductions for the films with the filmmakers and the actors. Have you ever done anything like that for any of the screenings where you've introduced it with the filmmaker or anything like that?
Yep. I love hosting movies. I hate talking about myself, but I love to talk about movies and I love to just like help filmmakers shine and promote their films and, just getting to have those really interesting conversations with filmmakers. Our whole programming team hosts the movies that play at Fantastic Fest. And, there's only five of us. Sometimes we pull in some other helpers, but, it's a heavy lift. So we're all hosting, a few movies a day. Um, this year we had Martin McDonough with Banshees of Inisherin, and he's just so funny, so lovely. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch that film.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
did.
loved it. Yeah,
I did.
I love that movie. So, getting to talk to people like that, I wouldn't say I get starstruck easily. I just get very like interested in the conversation. And it's so nice to be able to, give our audience a chance to really have those, you know, be part of those conversations. So yeah, I love doing that.
Have
Yeah.
you have you ever been, like, starstruck by anyone you've had, do, like, an intro or
Oh,
Q&A? Like, someone, like, super personal that you always wanted to meet, you never thought you would be able to, and it happened?
uh, I mean, I do. I get excited to meet. Like we had Park Chan Wook out last year with Decision to
Nice.
Leave, and meeting him, he's like a legend. So you're definitely like, Julia Ducournau. She's one of my favorite, contemporary filmmakers. We had her out with Titan. She's pretty intimidating just because I just think she's so smart, so cool, such an awesome filmmaker. So I try and play it cool though.
Yeah. I
Yeah, probably a lot cooler than most people, certainly a lot cooler than me, or
Well,
maybe you've
it's
seen me.
tough. It's tough. When I went to Telluride, I literally and my friend, I had a friend with me, and she didn't even know it was her. But we were in a hotel bar, and come walking in is Laura Dern, and I'm
Oh,
like,
I would not.
I was
I would
like,
lose my cool.
I was like, uh,
Are you in the right
and,
place?
and my friend was like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "Fucking Jurassic Park."
I know.
Uh, not Blue Velvet, but
She
um,
was in Blue Velvet.
oh yeah, I'm thinking. I was like David Lynch. I'm already
Mm.
starstruck thinking about her. Um,
Oh, I mean, she would do that to me too, for sure, for
yeah,
sure.
but I got a chance to talk to her for a second, and she was amazing. And the other I also met. Well, he didn't speak English, but Hirokazu Koreeda was
Oh,
at the
amazing.
festival. I believe for his not his last film, but the film before that, the one with the family. What's
Shoplifters?
Yeah,
Shoplifters?
it was for
That's it.
shoplifters.
Yeah, he
I
was there for
love that movie.
Shoplifters, and
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, he had the
He just
interpreter
had a
there,
new
and
movie that came out last year, which was very
Mhm.
good,
yeah,
which
Yeah.
no one really talked about.
I know. I feel like it got kind of
Swept under the rug,
I
like it really did.
agree. I don't know why. Because Shoplifters was like a pretty, for that type of film, pretty successful
yeah,
theatrically.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So there, there's is there? I mean, I know we keep going back to actors and filmmakers, but is there a particular conversation you had on stage that I know you said you really like Martin McDonough. Any other ones that really stand out to you as being really good conversations?
Ooh. Um, Now I'm
So
just thinking.
I know
I
you
I
got.
feel like I can't say any
I know,
I
you put
one
her on
know,
the
I know.
spot.
person
I
where they're gonna be like,
Yeah, we don't want to play favorites here.
Yeah,
yeah,
I guess that's true. They're all good.
Well,
I'm
let me
assuming
ask
they're
you.
all interesting.
Let me go right to somebody then, because you say you work for you worked for the Austin Film Society. Did you ever
yeah,
meet Richard Linklater?
I sure did. He's really nice, very chill, very down to earth, uh, no airs.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a great guy. And I mean, he helps with a nonprofit celebrating film, which is just like you can't get, better than that. Like he's a real film lover, which a lot of directors are, but not all of them
I've
are.
mentioned it before. It's
Yeah,
nice
that's
to see
interesting.
when filmmakers are actually kind of showing their love for film because it feels like sometimes
Yes.
there's certain filmmakers that are really they're into making movies, but they don't really show their love for film.
Yes.
There's just like this a little bit of, as we've said, snobbery. It maybe a little bit holding back, not wanting to be, outgoing about their love for film. But
Mm,
then there's
yeah.
Mhm.
filmmakers like a Tarantino or like, Ryan Johnson or
Mhm.
them guys really love to talk about movies and talk about them with other people and
Yes.
I love that. I love that.
I will say, so we had Edgar Wright come out for Last Night in Soho. We did a big surprise.
Yeah,
And he is someone that, obviously really has so much knowledge about film, you know, bases a lot of his style on, past films in a new way. But he was really fun to talk to about that film and just, how that film's all set in the 1960s and his references and just a real like deep knowledge of film. And that's always really fun.
yeah.
Um, yeah, he was a fun guest.
Yeah, he's kind of a personal, like, I wanna get him on the show one day.
No.
Okay.
I
We're working our way toward people, like, I mean, like,
I guess
we
so.
haven't
That'd be a hell of
released
a
it yet. We haven't released it yet, but we had director Chris McKay,
Oh,
interviewed coming
nice.
up for, Renfield that's
Awesome.
coming out, so we're working our way.
Amazing.
What's
Okay,
that?
there you go. I
Yeah,
said
we're
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, he
yeah, thank you,
super
thank you.
talk about somebody down to earth, super nice guy. I mean, I don't wanna, tease too much of the interview because you gotta give the people something to listen to, but
I
super
mean, I
nice
think it's
guy.
fine to say he's nice.
Yeah, he's a
It's
nice
okay.
guy.
He's a cool guy, yeah.
He's a cool guy. Like you said, and also another like film fan. Had an interesting life in
We
film
had
and kind
Sean
of
Baker on. We
his
had Sean
story.
Baker on
Sean
as
Baker
well.
Oh,
was
yeah.
great.
Yeah. So,
He's nice too. Yeah.
That was a nice surprise. His work is truly unique and set in very specific style.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and it's someone yet again who is a cinephile. I mean, he
Mhm.
mentioned Steven brings this up all the time. He has like an extra apartment that's just all of his movies.
That's where he keeps
What?
his physical media. He's like, "I keep my physical
Oh,
media in a whole other apartment just because that's
what
how
a
much he's."
dream.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
I wish we had that space.
Yeah,
But,
one day, one
yeah,
day.
one day. But, part of what you do also is you do acquisitions for, Draft House Films. So please
Yes.
talk about, that whole position, working with, film distribution.
Yeah, so, Draft House Films really had like a heyday where they're putting out tons of films, and then went dormant for a little bit, which was sad because, it really was just such a beloved label. One of my friends, Evan Husney, helped start it with Tim League and James Shapiro. And, it was just such a unique label. It just really put out so many, wasn't afraid to take risks, put out, the act of killing, like talk
Yeah.
about like a wild documentary, and then, just all types of interesting things. Um,
Greasy Strangler.
yes,
Love that movie.
love him. Um, huge fan of him. Um, and so then Giant actually is a big aggregator. They work with like a lot of different distributors, just putting things out digitally. They actually bought Draft House Films, and they said, we want to start putting things out again, but we want to keep, the voice and the vision. And so Tim League is back on board, and I got brought in along with my colleague Abra Perry just to try and, find those films that would, continue the tradition. Um, so for me, it was a natural fit because I see so many movies at Fantastic Fest, and not every movie gets distribution. So I mean, it sounds silly, but a movie could be at Sundance, it could be at Cannes, it could be at Berlin, it could be at Fantastic Fest, and it will never get distributed. And it's sad, but it's true. So with Draft House, I thought, here's a great opportunity. We play so many great movies at Fantastic Fest. Some of them are really out there. Not all of them are going to get picked up. Like, let's try and, find a home for these amazing genre films. So we've put out Masking Threshold, which was from Fantastic Fest last year. No, actually, the year before, by
Okay.
this really amazing, interesting filmmaker, Johannes. I'm not even going to try and say his last name, he'll kill me. But, he also makes robots, and he's just like this crazy genius, and he made this really interesting film. Um, Now we're releasing two films theatrically in April. They're actually two documentaries. One is called Chop and Steal, and it is about these guys. Have you heard of the Found Footage Fest? So it's Nick Pruer and Joe Pickett. They, handpick all these weird old vintage clips and like make these really funny shows. Definitely recommend checking it out.
Okay.
But they're also like professional pranksters. And so they came up with this act where they were these strong men, chop and steal, and they tricked all these morning TV show hosts, like Good Morning America. They go on there and be like, here's, wearing spandex, American flag
Yeah.
spandex, saying, here's an easy workout you can do at home. And then like the stupidest things, just like crushing wicker baskets with their feet, or like making these disgusting smoothies and making the people on air drink them. Um, and they ended up getting sued. So the documentary is super funny. It's all about their wild pranks.
Yeah.
And that's going to be in Alamos in April. And then we also have another doc called A Life on the Farm, which for physical media collectors, this one's really interesting because it's basically about this man on a farm in England who would make all these wild home movies, like really wild. Um, I I don't know how to talk about this movie and make it like not sound crazier than it is, but he when his mom died, who was living with his mom, he like posed his mom in different places and like used her in a movie. But this it's actually very charming, even though this sounds
Sounds pretty
extremely
crazy.
creepy. This guy was definitely crazy, but it was also just like he would make these videos and share them with his neighbors. And then when he passed away, these this filmmaker found all these videos, and so it's just really interesting. Uh, meditation on people that like just want to create things, even though
Hmm.
they don't necessarily have the resources. Um, and all this video remains that he shot. And so it really is like a love letter to movie making and a love letter to physical media because it's like it's still here with us, because he chose to commit it to VHS, which,
That's great.
is pretty cool. Um, it's actually heartwarming. I know I talk about the dead grandma, but it's actually a really charming, heartwarming doc. Um, so yeah, it's just really exciting to. I'm sure you guys, you see a movie and you're like, God, I love this movie. How can I support this movie? And being able to distribute it is, an amazing way to support a movie. So feel
Definitely.
really
It
lucky to get to do that.
was a good pitch for us. Yeah. I mean, now is that only going to, are these films only going to be in Alamo draft houses at first?
They'll have like an exclusive week with Alamo Draft Houses, and then they'll go out across the country, and then they'll be available digitally.
Okay.
Um, and on some of them, they'll be available on VHS.
Ooh,
Um,
No.
so yeah,
nice.
I
I
don't
like it.
know. Yeah, and
Keep
we're
it
we're working out the physical media side,
Yeah, I was
because
gonna say Draft
obviously,
House used to put out some physical media back in the
yep,
day, and I don't
yep,
think it's been a while since they've done that. I believe, but that'd
it
be
has
nice. That'd be nice
been.
to see Draft House films start to put stuff back out. That'd be nice.
Oh, for sure. I mean, our
Yeah,
audience is collectors,
yeah,
everyone is a big collector. So,
nice, nice.
yeah.
Well, and so that leads us to we have to ask you: are you a collector yourself? Are
Oh,
you
no.
do you got some movies stashed around that we can't see?
This is going to be shameful. Um, so when I was in college, I worked at a record store. I worked at Amoeba Records, and I worked in their video room and, bought everything, floor to ceiling, because I got this great discount. All the records, all the DVDs, all the VHS. Then when I moved to New York City,
Uh oh.
I had I had to pay for my trip somehow, so I sold almost everything.
Mm.
Um, Kept some things, and I've just moved around so much that I try and keep my collection small. Um, I still love it, and it starts creeping, but it's it makes me sad because I did have a very glorious, huge collection, and you know, I
It's
some
funny.
of it, yeah. I mean, you're not the only one who's done that. I've seen many people who have large collection, then one day they're just like they just sell it. They just
They
kind of
they
lose.
they
They either
they,
lose
they have
interest
some.
or
Yeah,
financial reasons, or
yeah.
they're
yeah.
moving, or whatever the case
I
may
mean,
be.
space is so real. Like a lot of
Mm.
my friends have full rooms, and I have kids in those rooms. I'm not living in a palace here. So, um, I definitely have like my very special things that I will never part with. And I do, I just we did Country Gold, which is Mickey Reese is a filmmaker that we played at Fantastic Fest many times. He came and did a screening at Alamo and he made cassette tapes of the soundtrack of his movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can't resist that, So I still pick up things here and there.
Well, that's something
Yeah.
But
that's like
y'all, I
unique.
can see your guys'
I know
Oh,
collections in the background.
it's
you're seeing a very you're seeing a very small
you can only
sample
fit so
size
much
of.
in the camera, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It it's become. I always say that shelf space specifically is always at a premium. Um,
Hmm.
I've run out years ago, and then you create more shelves,
yeah,
you fill those shelves, and then it's
yeah.
onward and onward and onward.
We I
There are
promise
people
we
who
do
collect.
watch the movies. It just
Yeah,
we
Yeah.
buy them faster than we can watch them, so
that's also very true. But
that's
also,
just what
I
it
mean,
is.
there are people who have massive, massive collections in multiple formats because, like, everything from VHS all the way up now to 4Ks, and it's just and everything in between, and it's just like, wow, I don't have that much space for all of that. Also, that's a completionist,
Yes.
and it's like I don't even know where to track down some of these. Like, what can I find? Where can I find a PS Vita version of Scooby of the live action Scooby Doo movie? Where does one sell that?
No, no. Are there
I don't
what
even
are
think James Gunn has that version of
probably
that
not.
the movie, and he made it.
I mean, I think that's why, though, video stores are so important. And I know they've, phased out, but you really can't find everything you want to watch online, even though people say, it's all on Amazon, it's on, it's not. Um, and so, in Baltimore, there's this really cool nonprofit video store called Beyond Video. One of my friends, Eric Hatch, started. Um, and they really have everything. And I know a lot of physical media collectors have donated stuff to them because it's true. How much can one person watch? You have these amazing collections. Can you watch it all? But with a video store, you know, it's all there. People can go, people can share it. Um, Austin lost their video stores recently,
Mhm.
but We Love Video is making a comeback, I think. I think they're raising money to try and open again. So I think that's really cool. It's like you don't have this, like, I don't necessarily have the space or the time or the inclination to collect all the physical media anymore, but I love it. And I
Yeah,
love that people are preserving things. We work really closely with AGFA,
yeah.
who does an amazing job just, restoring things and preserving film history. Deaf Crocodile is another, label I love to work with at Fantastic Fest. So it is so important that it exists because, you know, if it's online, just a file, that could
No,
disappear. Someone could take that away.
it's not
Yeah,
safe.
and
It's not
things
safe.
we've seen it happen. Like what you're
Yeah,
saying, we've seen happen so many times. I see it all the time. People, um, who will buy a digital movie on whatever format may be,
yep.
and then one day it's gone
That
because
company goes out of business
the
and they don't
if the
care.
company goes out of business or if that company loses the rights to that to have that movie on their format or whatever the case may be, it's gone. And
Yep.
I don't think they refund you for it. I think it just
Yeah.
disappears.
No.
I mean,
Nope.
and I guess that's the risk you take when you're dealing with that type of technology, digital technology. I mean, it's permanent until it's not. I
You're
Yep.
mean,
bu
disc even
you're buying access.
yeah, you're
You're not owning
a
it,
and it's not that and I say this before, it's not that discs or VHS or anything else really lasts forever. Everything seems to have an expiration date. I just know that in general. The disc rot is a very real thing. Vinyl records, don't last forever. Cassette tapes,
Yeah.
CDs. I mean,
I just
nothing
need
really
them to
lasts
I need them
forever.
to last as long as I live.
Well,
That's
yeah,
all
I
I
mean,
need.
there's a you have a longer they at least they have a longer lifespan
Yeah,
than you think.
yeah,
But it's very interesting how the digital versus physical media battle is ever ongoing, and
Yeah.
it is a lot to do, I would say, culturally, more so than other practical reasons. I just think the younger generations now are consuming media in a more accessible streaming digital way and they're not even like learning about what physical media is because they don't use it. Many young people don't have televisions. They watch everything on their laptop or a
Mhm.
tablet or stuff like that. And I would say just to transition into kind of the theatrical thing of it all is that people are would rather watch movies at home versus in the theaters. I think obviously the festivals are unique because it's an experience. Many people travel, like you just said. It's curated. There's programming involved. It's very specific, but just the theatrical experience versus versus the times is changing. I think COVID is sped everything up. Like you were saying, you had to make adjustments during COVID just to survive. Really, must have been a very
Yeah.
difficult time.
Yeah, I mean, for Alamo, obviously in every theater, it's like you just couldn't show movies. You weren't allowed to exhibit movies. Um, so really rough. And I agree, getting people back like into the theaters when people are used to like sitting on the couch, it's hard. I do think that, especially with horror movies, I think that's why they continue to always do well theatrically, is because it is that immersive experience. And it's really the type of movie where it's like you go to a theater, so you can be in like the pitch black, get, totally freaked out, hear people scream. So horror movies do have that going for it. Alamo Drafthouse does work really hard. I don't know if y'all have an Alamo near you.
I was gonna say I've been a couple times. In North Carolina we have one in Raleigh.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
I was gonna tell you that I've been there a couple times. Alamo Draft House is the best theater experience overall, like all around. Like you go in and it's a video store in the front, like the one that we have,
yeah,
and there you can rent movies, you can buy movies. There's Criterions there. There's label movies you can buy there. There's merchandise, and there's a bar you can sit and hang out. And then there's the theaters, and then the theater experience. You guys have thought of everything. You not only do you have buckets that are made from like tin, so you're not getting all the crinkly bag noise. I love that. But you also have these things where you have this card system where somebody will come to your chair if you need a refill, or if somebody's even using their phone while you're watching a movie. You can say, "Hey, this guy over here, he needs to get his phone turned off," because you have that no tolerance policy on phones, which I wish all
yes,
theaters would do. The Alamo Draft House, if I wish there was one closer to me, because I would go all the time, but it's like 2 hours away from me, so it's like a
yes.
special occasion for me. I want to go to the Alamo Draft House.
Mm.
So
Well, we want to be, everywhere and
I
as
know you.
close to you
Yeah,
as possible.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, that's just something they take really seriously and have always taken really seriously. Tim League, the founder, is a huge film lover. And so, the projection is just top notch. The programming is just very considered. It's not robots just plugging in biggest box it's like we have our superhero movies, but then you have these amazing repertory films that are curated by these amazing programmers that the Alamo employs. And so I think that kind of level, that attention to detail, that is what it takes to get people to come out of the house. You don't want to leave your house, go to a theater, there's like, yeah, someone texting on the phone, teenagers screaming, like someone like dropping a hot dog on you, there's a lot of things that can go wrong.
Oh, yeah, well, I
Um,
think we've all witnessed all of
yeah,
that. I mean, I Steven and I
exactly.
talked about this years ago. Even before COVID, before all of that, like the issues with the movie theater going experience is literally everything that you've just
It's
um
the people.
described. It's
The
the
people
people.
are
Mo-
is the hardest thing. Is people don't know how to act.
Movie theater
Yep.
Uh,
etiquette apparently isn't like an innate thing. Like people just don't
No,
naturally know how to act in a movie theater. Like
I know.
it's
And
kind
then
of baffling to
people
me.
have really backslid now. So, but yeah, Alamo is serious. You will
they're
get a
serious about it.
warning and you will get kicked out. And I think that's great because no one is going to the movies. Well, I mean, I guess some people are going to the movies to
Yes, some people
text,
are,
but then you're wasting your money. Like, turn off your phone, just enjoy it, be immersed in the experience. I don't
and
know.
it
I love
is.
it. I
It
love watching movies in a theater.
Yeah, and like I said, it is an experience going to an Alamo Draft House because it's as soon as you walk in, you're in a movie environment. Like it's not fake. It's not,
It's not
like it's not
commercialized.
commercial looking. It's not like the standard movie theater look. It is unique. It
It's
is
not a. I'm assuming it's.
there's
I
like
mean, I've never been
eight
to
foot
one.
tall VHS movies in the lobby. Like
Yeah,
it's
I
like
was saying
that's
it's
like
probably not like a multiplex. You know what I mean? Like the
it's
multiplex
different. Yeah.
experience, everything's always like bright and shiny, and there's like lights everywhere, and everything is like like a whole big, almost like an amusement park type of thing. I just feel like Alamo Draft Pile. I've never been, so I don't know. But
We
I'm
have
assuming
to get
Steven.
you to one.
There's
Come on,
one in
man.
Boston, which is about an
Okay.
hour
Yeah,
away.
that one
That's
just
the
opened.
I would say that's the closest one. Other than there's that one, and then there's the ones in New York, and then that's it. I think the further north you get, the less there are of Alamo Draft House. I just feel like
Yeah.
The further
that's
away
the
from
Well,
case.
Texas you get,
Yeah,
we yeah.
I think that's what I was just saying. Pretty
We
sure it
did
was.
start in Texas, but we're branching out.
that's
So,
good. That's good.
yeah.
Yeah, get one in Charlotte. Get one in Charlotte, North Carolina.
So
That's
it's
a little
closer to
closer to
you?
me. A little
That's
closer.
when people are always like, "So, can you tell them?" Like, "Sure,
Sure,
I'll
why
just
Would you
not?
write
tell
it
them to go
down."
build another theater? Do it now.
The thing is I'm pretty sure it's not one. People say that, and it's like you can't just put a theater anywhere. It's not gonna work.
It's yeah,
Like
no,
we'll
yeah,
go to it, but it's like
yeah,
they need like thousands of people
yeah.
all the time going to them. I
Well,
couldn't imagine what it's like trying to open a theater now.
now it's like it's like trying to start one of these physical media labels. Probably like it's like there's a already a big group of people already doing this thing. Do we need to try to start a new thing now? Does it feel like it's it and people are half going to the theaters? Some certain movies people run out to the theater for, but a lot of other ones they don't. So you have to
Mhm.
have a unique edge or unique thing that like I think Alamo does to maybe
Mm.
get people back. But I do, for wrapping up, I do want to just we've kind of skirted around this a little bit, but I want to ask you about just some of your favorite movies. So, what are some of them physical media movies that you're holding on to dear life that you won't ever get rid of? What are some
Oh,
of the movies that you just can't get rid of?
so I love Showgirls.
Oh my
Um,
God, it's getting a
Nice.
4K.
Yeah,
It's
I don't.
getting a 4K. Are you
Yeah, I
getting
know.
that 4K?
Very
probably someone will probably gift it to me because
nice.
people know I love that movie. I
Wow.
am glad it has been reevaluated, but there's still some people that are not on the train. And whenever I run into one of those people, I fought. Well, I say fight, but I mean, I was ready to fight with a guy at the festival last year who tried to tell me it was a trash movie. Blah. And I'm like, have you been living under a rock for 10 years? Like, it's come full circle. People know it's one of the best movies of all time. It's not a trash movie.
Okay, I'm not going to agree with you necessarily, but it's been,
I
but it's
I
been,
was
but it's
Am I
I was
gonna
on
have to fight you?
I was
it's
on
it's
board
been a
with your
while since I've seen
appreciation
it.
of
So
it
yeah, yeah,
up
yeah,
until that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Rewatch it.
I'm
yeah,
going
very
to.
Um,
I already bought the 4K. It's coming.
Did you? I
So
see you didn't tell
oh,
me.
yeah,
see, there you go.
so it's coming.
So
But
Um,
you're gonna know soon enough, Steven.
well,
yeah.
I've seen it. It's been a while,
Yeah,
but
so
I've
have
seen it. So I need to rewatch it, but so I can see that it's the best movie of all time.
Oh,
So
yeah.
remind myself.
Certainly one of the most enjoyable movies of all time.
It
Um,
definitely has its moments, definitely.
yeah.
So what else is a little less? Is there
Yeah,
any less controversial ones? Uh,
Any controversial ones?
or less controversial?
Um,
Less controversial. I
oh,
think Showgirls is controversial. Um,
I mean, uh, because I do genre film, horror movie, I don't get to like talk about the other movies I like as much, but I really am from my pretentious days, I'm a huge Almodovar fan.
oh, nice.
Um, I love all of his films. My laptop is being propped up by this beautiful, huge book I have about all of his films that I love and I will never sell. Um, Robert Altman. I don't know. When you talk about favorite movies, it's just like you go down
It's
a
okay.
wormhole and it's
Yeah.
it's really hard. But I just have like really diverse tastes. I will watch anything. I will say that one genre I haven't been converted to is Westerns.
Okay.
So if you have any Western recommendations
Hmm.
that could make me a fan of the genre, I'm all
Hmm.
ears.
Andrew, you got any westerns for her that she needs to? I mean, look. Here's an
I'm asking.
okay.
I
Here's an
mean,
obvious
I
one.
thought that was more of a rhetorical question,
Well,
but
no,
I guess
but
you put
here's an
your name
obvious
on.
one. Here's an
No.
obvious one. You might have seen it, you might have not, but it's essentially a kind of play. It's a one of the icons of a western, Clint Eastwood, right?
What are you
So
gonna
he's done
Okay.
choose?
many westerns, and this is him kind of doing a movie that kind of caps his whole career, and that's Unforgiven. If you've
Oh,
never
okay.
seen, um,
Never seen it.
yeah, Unforgiven's
All
from the
right.
early '90s. It won Best Picture of the year it came out,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
really good western. It also stars Gene Hackman,
Okay.
um, and it's kind of it kind of is the last big western he ever does. I think it might even be the last western he does, but it shows him at this older age, kind of doing that revenge story that he's done a few times, and just kind of he directs it too. It's a beautiful movie. I'd say that's a good starter if you're looking for like a really good hard hitting western film that is not
Okay.
overly complicated, has great characters, and just it can get really bloody at times. It has its moments. Um, it's a good one, I think.
All right.
Andrew,
I
That's a
check it out.
that's pretty
okay,
good. You started out pretty hot and heavy, Steven. I mean,
sorry.
there's a lot of great ones. I mean, um,
Don't
the
go on a
tr
list
no,
tangent.
I'm
We
not
need to
going
give
on a
her like
list
one or
tangent. Well, the
two.
thing is, you open
She
up the
she said
fun.
she's never got into it. We don't need to give her 5 or 10
Yeah, you
movies.
can't open
I
up the
try.
floodgates
I
like that.
try.
Um, the True Grit by the Coen Brothers
I
from
do like that
yeah,
movie.
that
Okay,
was a
I
there's
pretty
a
like
good
good
one.
that
one.
one.
Even the original is worth a watch, I guess, just to see John Wayne. I
I haven't seen the
get
original.
a career Oscar, I guess, for that film. But even something like The Proposition, the I think it's
Guy
Heathcote, which is an
Pearce.
Australian Western film.
Wait,
Yeah.
I did
I think it's
Nick
Guy Pearce in
Cave
that.
have
It's
something
Guy.
to do with that movie?
Who? Nick who?
Nick,
Nick
Nick
Cave, the
I
oh,
singer-songwriter, didn't he have something to do
yeah,
with a
he wrote
Western?
the screenplay
I
for
was
it.
gonna say he wrote it, I
Yes.
believe, yeah.
Yeah.
I have seen that one and I like that one. Look, we found
Yeah, I
two
know. You
We're
say you
westerns
gonna
don't
I've
like
seen
'em.
and
we knew
like.
you liked westerns. We knew uh,
I'm always trying to look for my blind spots and like
Mm.
yeah.
my own personal biases and westerns definitely fall into like the genre category of films we play at Fantastic Fest and we
Yeah.
played some cool ones. So I don't know, I'm just always trying to expand my
There's
filmmaking or my
Oh, of
film
course.
viewing tastes.
I think we all have blind spots when
we
it
all do.
comes to
We all
certain
do. Yeah.
genres. I mean, for many people, it is westerns because westerns is such a genre that's been I wouldn't say it's not a dead genre, but it's faded into obscurity after being like the top genre for so many decades, and it faded into obscurity. I think before a lot of us were around to kind of appreciate it. You know, I don't think many of us grew up with westerns being prominent as they once were, and it's kind of unfortunate. For a lot of people, I think it's musicals. I think it's a tougher genre for people to get into. I always see people just completely dismiss musicals, um, because they just don't think like music should be that prominent in movies or takes away from the plot or whatever the case may be. But I often find that musicals are some of the most amazing productions I've
Ooh,
ever seen.
I love musicals. I love Bob Fosse,
Mm.
all that jazz. Yeah,
Yeah, I was just gonna say
I'm like a nerd. I
all that
love
jazz is a
musicals.
drama. I don't know what
Yes.
people are talking
I mean,
about.
it's amazing. I mean, that's like a hardcore movie, like it's intense.
I think of the original West Side Story, and some of the camera work and the choreography of that movie is incredible and amazing to achieve at that time.
Yeah.
And it's just absolutely amazing. Uh, there's so many musicals that are just running through my head right now, but that's one of my favorites. Even something like The Blues Brothers is considered a musical, but it's more beloved as a comedy. So it's like
Yeah.
some of these genres kind of mishmash into one another, and I think over the years they've kind of just blended in to create like whole new genres like dramedies and action comedies, action horror, sci-fi horror, and stuff like that. These hybrid genres. Um, and I think Fantastic Fest is kind of it's not just in my head when I first heard about the festival, I thought it was strictly horror because I knew a lot of people who went to it just to cover like a lot of the horror movies and whatnot, but
Yeah.
it's kind of a mixture of genres.
Oh, yeah. We play basically anything we deem fantastical. So, we look for just boundary pushing movies, really exciting, innovative movies, black comedies. The Banshees of Inisherin, you might not think, you know, that's not a horror movie, but it's so bizarre and unique
I,
and dark. So,
I feel like
yeah.
it's like a kind of an Irish folk tale in a way. That's
Yeah.
kind of the way I looked at it once I was done. I was like, it's kind of got like a folk horrorness to it in a way,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and McDonough, his films are always black comedies. They're always dark comedies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Bruges, Three Billboards, and this film are
Seven
all dark
Psychopaths.
comedies.
Yeah.
Seven
Yeah.
Psychopaths is another
Yeah.
one. It's just all dark
Yeah.
comedies. You don't find yourself laughing out loud during them,
Oh, I
but
do.
there's humor in there. I guess
I
so.
definitely laughed at Banshees, but
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, there were
yeah,
definitely times I did. I mean,
Yeah.
when it got towards but as the movie goes on, it got darker and more serious, I think, and
Yeah.
the comedy was a little more stripped away, which was just incredibly,
Yeah.
you know, achievable by him as a director. Um, yeah, so
Yeah.
like I was saying, like Fantastic Fest has more to offer than just one genre. I think that was what I
Yeah,
was trying to
definitely,
say.
definitely. But I, so you're like you said, you're working on it now for this year, coming up. So you're in the middle of it, and
Oh,
oh,
she disappeared.
oh,
Oh,
did
she's back.
sorry. Am I back? Yeah,
oh,
my
it's
my
Yep.
internet is giving out, guys.
oh, it's okay.
Um,
I'm just about to finish up with you here. Um, so yeah, so you're working on Fantastic Fest right now for 2023, and so um, anything you can divulge about
Yeah. Do you want to
anything coming up or
promote it? When can people buy
I
tickets or
mean,
passes?
I would love people to buy badges and come visit us. September 21st through the 28th in Austin, Texas. We do have badges on sale. If you can't come for the full week, we do have a second half badge, which we show almost every movie twice. So we show them in the first 4 days and in the second 4 days. So if you can only get 4 days off work, come to the second half. That's also when we have like our legendary closing party because Fantastic Fest is not just known for our movies, we're also known for our crazy events, our crazy parties. Um, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun this year. Our theme is 1980s occult. So we're going to do some, heavy metal stuff, some satanic
nice?
panic stuff. Um, and we have locked down a really exciting world premiere of a big movie that I have been waiting on for over a year. I can't say anything else about it,
Okay,
but
all right,
really excited about that one. And then a handful of other amazing movies, that we've seen. A movie I saw at Berlin, that's one of my favorite movies of the year. Just lots of great stuff. So would love everyone to come. There's badges on our website. Yeah, that's my
fantastic.
pitch. The movies are my sales pitch.
They sell
Th-
themselves.
They
They
do.
do, they really do.
Please, everybody, go to it's the Fantastic Fest. You got to go. Um, Lisa, we very much appreciate
Yeah,
you taking the time to talk with us and nerding out about movies and nerding about your job because you got one of the
of
coolest jobs
course.
out there.
Oh,
Um,
it's fun. I'm lucky.
it, I just wish I just wish I could hang out at film festivals all the time because they're just so fun. But
I know.
Yeah, we gotta
yeah,
get you guys to Fantastic
Yeah.
Fest.
I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come down there one
Okay.
day.
All right.
But thank you, Lisa, and we hope you have a good rest of your night.
Of course. Thank you so much.